Welcome back to a special weekend edition of Locked On Illini. Earlier this week, Big Kurt and I did a segment on whether or not the Illini running backs room was actually overrated coming into this season. I'm curious on your guys' thoughts. Rewatch this segment and let me know what you guys think. And welcome back to Locked On Illini with special guest Big Kurt from the Eyes on Big podcast. Now, Kurt and I, we had an exchange, I want to say maybe, 2 weeks ago when I was talking about possible topics on here for Locked On Illini. And I wanted to reach out to ask people what they thought was an underrated aspect of this Illini football team. And Kurt was in my mentions, and he's like, how about overrated? And by overrated, I mean this running back room. And I'll be honest, I blocked you like 3 times, Kurt, but you keep showing up on my timeline. But I wanted to give you the floor first to make your argument. I think it's an interesting one about this Illini running backs room, which I've called one of the top ones in the Big Ten Conference. Now, to be fully transparent, it's not quite at the level it is now that Josh McCray is no longer with the team. Yeah. But I still think it's one of the better ones in the Big Ten Conference. But I want to hear your thoughts on why you think it might be a tad bit overrated.
Sure. Before I start with that, though, I just wanted to point out Josh McCray was my favorite Illini football player last year. That guy was so reliable, so consistent. You always knew what you're going to get. He was an all-around back. He could block. He could receive. He could run the ball. I've never seen a better Illini at reading blocks and having vision. He was amazing at that. So sorry to see him go. So I want to start, though, with a disclaimer. I want all of these guys to succeed. I want it to be one of the best running back rooms in the Big Ten, but I have to be critical and honest with myself when I see something. I also like to give praise when I see something. Assuming all 3 of these guys are healthy, you got a pair and a spare. That's all you can ask for in the Big Ten. If you got a pair and a spare, you're doing pretty well. The problem I have is I can go down the list of the 3 of them. Kaden Fagen, injury prone. Aiden Loffrey, injury prone. Cle Valentine, I like what the possibilities I see with him running the ball. He can't block. Yeah, so sure. you've got 2 guys that could be on the bench and 1 guy that cannot play all 4 downs. So I think if Fagen is out there every game, if Loffrey's out there every game, we're fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so you're basically talking about depth. And, that's an argument I have to concede. Kaden's just one of those guys where if he can play 90% of the snaps that he's supposed to play, I think this offense is going to be humming, especially given him his 3rd season. Now, he just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I don't know if you saw the picture that the Illini football social media team released of him. He looks like he's an NFL pro linebacker, not a college running back.
Those legs were tree trunks.
Exactly right. But, there's nothing I can argue of the fact that the last 2 seasons, his seasons have been cut short with injury.
And if you look at the injuries, he had a shoulder surgery and he had a hip surgery. Those are not minor things. We don't know that he's going to bounce back 100%.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And we got lucky last year because we had Josh McCray there.
Yes.
You're a guy who, let's be honest, it was injury prone himself.
Yes.
And so I think maybe, as you talked about, you're usually the pessimistic guy. I always lean towards optimism. And so for me, I'm going into this year thinking, hey, maybe this is the year that, Kaden is going to have Josh McCray's healthy year. And, he can be the stalwart in that running backs room. And then you just talk about the balance between Aiden and Kaden. That's the perfect balance between the kind of skill sets you'd want out of your running backs.
Sure.
Aiden, I think, was one of our better players at the end of last season. He absolutely, became a weapon. And Cle Valentine, I've always liked his tape. And I felt like every time he was on the field last year, he jumped out at you. And so you're right in the sense where he's a minus blocker, but that's also a skill that you learn progressively, hopefully, as you get older and older in college football. And maybe that's kind of, again, what I'm counting on.
It definitely is something you learn. Freshmen oftentimes aren't great blockers. And what I'm hearing is he's put on 20 pounds. I didn't realize on the field he didn't look slight, but I guess he was only playing at 185 pounds last year, and he's up to 205 now. So that
he was a
gives me
true
some
freshman
options.
last year. As a true freshman, again, what he always jumped out at me when he was on the field, and that's why I'm really excited to see. Like, I think he can be our starter next season. And if for whatever reason Kaden unfortunately does the days repeat himself and he gets hurt again, I think Khalil can be a star in the Big Ten Conference. I'm just not as confident on that as I am Kaden. Because Caden's proven it on the field. For him, it's just a simple matter of staying healthy.
Yeah, so I looked up how many games he played, just out of curiosity. So last year he played 5 games before his injury, or I guess he got injured in his 5th game. The year before, he did play 9 out of the 12 games, but he only had more than 6 carries in 4 of those games. So we have not seen much of this guy either.
No, what you've seen, I really, really like. And
I do too. But I tell you what, I was at the Northwestern game when Aiden Laughery went off. I think of the entire group, I think Aiden has the most potential.
Interesting. Okay, I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I can see the argument for that. And I'll be honest, I'm also heavily weighing in the fact that we're returning all 5 offensive linemen.
Yeah, that helps.
And it's a Brett Bielema team, right? If there's one position group that Brett tends to always be pretty strong in, it is that running back room. And no, I don't think Forrester or Cedric Weiss, the freshmen, are ready to contribute. I think Valentine was more of an anomaly last year. Weiss is just a little too small. I think he's going to need a year working with the strength coordinator. But when it comes to Kaden, I think he has all Big Ten potential just because of his bull runs. I just think he's going to be very difficult to stop. Aiden, I can absolutely see the argument for being the better one, just because he's more versatile than what Kaden is.
He's more well-rounded. And the thing that I don't like about Kaden that he really needs to improve is his vision. I mentioned how good McCrae's was. I haven't seen that out of Fagen, and we saw it early in the season when he was playing. Anytime it was a short yardage situation, they were giving him the ball, and he was not going to the right hole. Right. He was just running into the back of an offensive lineman every time. Then they started giving it to Josh, and he would find the hole.
Right. But does that come with experience, right? I'm not.
Yeah.
We don't know the answer to that, but it's one of those where you're right. Like, you feel like when you're on a short down situation, you have a cheat code in your backfield in Kaden Fagen. A guy that big should be able to get 2-3 yards easy. And so watching that as an Illini fan, I myself was incredibly frustrated that, as you said, he just didn't see the right hole. Kaden, to me, he had one direction. He knew where he was supposed to go, and that's where he went, whether that lane was open or not. And so he needs to be able to, see that, hey, that hole's not there, and maybe adjust a little bit and try to go in a different direction.
So going back to your offensive line, I agree with you on that point. Going back to your offensive line comment, I'm optimistic about the line. I think we do need to pump the brakes on the line a little bit. Yes, it's great. All 5 starters are back. And the thing that I like the most is they improved their run blocking throughout the season. They were at their best probably in that bowl game and against Northwestern in the previous game. But my challenge to them is I want to see them take command of the line of scrimmage from week 1. I don't want any – we know what you're capable of. Do it week 1 and throughout the whole season. That's my challenge. And then actually a second one. They gave up 31 sacks in 12 regular season games last year. They've got to improve that.
It's a huge part of this team. Luke Altmaier 2 seasons ago was running for his life at the beginning of the year. And as you mentioned last year, obviously it's improved from the year before. But I think right now, as is, you bring those 5-6 guys back and get all those starts. That's important in the Big Ten Conference. I don't think they're an elite group by any stretch of the imagination, but, they do have maybe one for sure, maybe 2 guys who might be able to, play at the next level, which, it's kind of, you hope to see more and more of with the way Brett's been recruiting since he got here. He's been recruiting behemoths. And so I agree with you there. The offensive line, I guess my positivity comes from the fact that I think they're, in the higher middle section of the Big Ten Conference. I'm not saying they're in the top 4 or 5, but I don't think it's a weakness. I think maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
No, I don't think it's a weakness either. I think we're probably at the same place on the offensive line. I would like a little more depth. Obviously, we always want more depth. But it sounds like Brandon Hansen is challenging at the right guard position. That's encouraging. I really, when I look at Josh Geske, that guy has got such he looks like a mauler. He has, I'm going to use a Jay Lehman term here. He's got way more butt than gut. Like usually you've got these offensive linemen with a big gut. He doesn't have that, but he's got some packaging back there.
Okay, so if I had to ask you between Kaden, Aiden, and Khalil, do either of the three or do all three have all Big Ten potential?
So who has the highest ceiling? I would say is Kaden Fagen. I mean, if that guy stays healthy, he's a good receiver. He's a pretty strong blocker. If he improves his vision, that guy is just a beast, and he's going to be tough to deal with. I just think Aiden Loffrey is probably a little more reliable. Now, can Kaden be all Big Ten? Absolutely. Aiden might be able to as well. I just don't have faith in Kaden staying healthy. That's really what it comes down to.
So what are your thoughts on this Illini team overall when it comes to their offense and defense? Look, I was in Las Vegas last week, and I heard a lot of 10 wins, 11 wins even. And I'm having a guest on later on next week who, again, is one of those guys who has Illinois winning 11 games. And maybe it's the Illini fan in me who's been an Illini football fan for 20 plus years. The idea that we, in the preseason and the offseason, people are talking about Illinois being, a 10-win team. It's not something I'm used to. And maybe it's me also being a Chicago Bears fan, where we always win the offseason, but once the actual season starts, we falter a bit. So I feel like the sport of football has hurt me in ways that, just I don't know if I can share the enthusiasm that the national guys have.
Sure. So it's a weird thing, right? If you go back to the end of the last season, nobody was talking about Illinois, in the early part of the season. It's almost like everyone at the same time looked at what they have coming back, and they're in typical human form. This is just what we do as humans. Overreacted. I like the 11-1. God, I would love to see that. I'm not betting on that, though.
Thank you for watching that clip from one of our recent shows. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and watch the full episode. It should be right here on this channel. Better yet, if you are a fan of the Illini, make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Illini. I produce content for you daily. That's right, every single day, right here on Locked On Illini. Tell your friends, and I'll see you next time.